Welcome back to One Comic Book a Day, where we're covering Adventure Comics 160, Superboy, Prince Charming. Yes, we're going back to the Cinderella well of storytelling. If you've been watching this video series for a while, you would know that one of my three favorite stories that have been covered throughout the Golden Age as we journey through my attempt to become a Superman expert, and hopefully you, by watching these, also somewhat of a Superman or Superboy expert. Those go hand in hand. That I really loved, I believe it was Action Comics 160 or 161, Cinderella a la Superman, which was a dream story, but that didn't really take away from the fun of it, where Superman essentially functions as the fairy godmother in Cinderella. Still, high point of the Golden Age for me. So now is our second attempt at this, even though it was successful the first time. And how is it? Not really great. I think one of the big problems about this story is I view Superman and Superboy as very proactive characters. They go out to save people. That's what they do. But Clark in this story is kind of a reluctant hero. At least he's annoyed and not really thinking about doing things for most of the story. And even when we get to the second half where he's being a little more proactive, a lot of what sort of resolves certain conflicts end up being random happenstance. So not a really great story from the perspective of Superboy. You see, there is a girl named Alice Norris who is being picked on horribly by her cousins because Alice is, I guess, homely. It's not like the art really depicts that any of these girls look all that different. She has pigtails and red hair and some glasses, so I guess she is like the most hideous monster that can possibly exist. There is some heroics to, put some excitement early in the story. Like her crying and running in front of a fire truck that I swear has enough time to break before it hits her. Don't worry, Superboy is there. Just so happens, there's going to be like a school ball, and the newspaper offers like $5,000 to charity if Superboy plays the Prince Charming role, and they give him a plastic slipper to slip on any girl's foot it fits and take to the dance. He absolutely hates this, and all he does is really complain. He doesn't want to be here. He doesn't want to do this. At no point does he realize that, hey, maybe this would help Alice, until the moment he realizes it when she is the option. The slipper actually doesn't fit anyone, so there wasn't going to be a winner of this, which I think may have been intentional. Actually, I don't know why that would be intentional. It's not like the $5,000 wouldn't be donated. He did what he was contractually obligated to do. But it comes closest to fixing Alice, so when it's Alice's turn, well, he kind of forces Alice into it. This is where he is becoming a little more proactive. He messes with the slipper. Instead of, planning this from the get-go, which really would have saved some time to tell more of a story with Alice, because we do rush through things going badly for Alice. 5 things happen. That's too much hyperbole, but 2 or 3 emotional beats happen on one page when her dress ends up getting destroyed by her cousins because her cousins are awful. But I would have liked Superboy to actually, attempt something until it's oh yeah, I should probably do this. He does come in as the fairy godmother and Prince Charming roles in the story, which I guess is another problem. They couldn't quite decide what he was. Because her dress, as I said, gets destroyed and he fixes it using recyclable bottles. Guess they're not see-through enough, and makes a really nice dress. I also really enjoy when we do see her in full get-up after her hair is done, that they didn't just let down her hair. They took off the glasses, but in sort of inversion of the trope, and it did exist at this time because it's been dealt with in another Superboy story that was relatively recent. She doesn't put her hair down. He puts her hair up using his special breath. Not exactly sure how that worked, but it's whimsical enough, and the story could really use some whimsy at this point. But I like that she's beautiful with her hair up and not just the crazy women are only attractive when they put their hair down. And he dances with her at the dance, and it's relatively lovely. I actually really like her as a love interest for Clark more than Lana, who is yet to be a love interest and is more of just an annoyance to him. Have him actually be attracted to a girl. I think she's really sweet. That's not what's going to happen. We're never going to meet her again, like a lot of characters are introduced for one issue of 50s comics or comics in general. She just kind of dances with a guy at the very end when we have to deal with this final conflict. And I don't know why this had to be the final conflict of the story. The cousins need some sort of comeuppance. So there should have been maybe some sort of confrontation between the cousins and Alice. That makes sense, right? And Superboy does something. No, they start to think that maybe Clark is Superboy. Why does this have to be the conflict? Nothing about this story feels like a secret identity in jeopardy type story, especially to throw that in at the final act. So Clark just does his usual bull with putting his costume on somebody else and using super ventriloquism. But they get their comeuppance because the carriage he creates accidentally brings two mice over. Not he sends two mice at them. No, just through, as I said, random happenstance, two mice scare the crap out of them. And Alice dances with some guy we see for like a second. I think he may have been in earlier in the story when they had the committee to make the ball, but it's not like they had much of a connection, nor this blonde guy having much of a character, even if he had a name. I don't remember. He's not much, and I think it would have just been better if she had danced with Clark and Clark being the Prince Charming, or even Superboy being the Prince Charming, really earning that title. It's not a particularly satisfying ending, like a lot of 1950s stories. I'm not quite sure they really nailed this. They kind of wanted the Cinderella story, but they didn't really want to go into a lot of things. And instead of like making Superboy more involved, they put him distant. So at the end, I don't find it much of a Superboy story, from him being the reluctant protagonist and not really solving some of the issues of the conflict. Okay, that is it from Adventure Comics 160. Superboy, Prince Charming. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications when a new video is up. I do this Monday through Friday, but Fridays is Bat Friday, where I cover Batman story either Detective Comics or Batman. Until next time, let's ponder the question, whatever did happen to the boy of tomorrow? And seriously, he should just start a dress shop. He's wonderful at it. Okay, have a great day.